Hi everyone, welcome to Olern Insights, where we distill business strategies and problems into bite-sized learning. This is Jerry Ilao, the founder of Olern, and I'm with Attorney Lorybeth Baldrias-Serrano. Hi, Attorney.
Hello, hi.
Attorney is the Chief Consultant and founder of LBS Consulting. In an earlier video, we talked about the Data Privacy Act of 2012.
That's right.
And in this video, we will describe and talk about the DPO. Lagi naririnig natin DPO or Data Privacy Officer. So, what is a Data Privacy Officer?
Actually, may I also correct the term?
Sige.
Data Protection
Sorry.
Officer. Okay lang. It is used interchangeably kasi. Oo, but the weird thing is, it's a nuance under the Philippine laws. So, don't worry about it. It's a nuance under Philippine laws. They call our laws Data Privacy, di ba? Data Privacy Act. But the person, the DPO, is called a Data Protection Officer.
Okay.
And that concept is actually drawn from the predecessor of the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulations of the EU.
Yes.
If you could notice, their concept is more of data protection.
Okay, sige. So, DPO.
So, yes, DPO. Your question is, what is a DPO? Well, a DPO is the responsible officer of Personal Information Controller or Personal Information Processor, who is primarily designated to manage personal data, the collection, use, disclosure, and storage of and destruction of personal data in an organization.
Okay. And is there a qualification for someone to be a DPO? By the way, DPO is required for all companies?
Ideally, yes, but the registration will only be mandatory when 3 instances exist.
Okay.
So these 3 instances are whenever the PIC, Personal Information Controller or Personal Information Processor, has at least 250 employees or processes personal data of 1,000 data subjects or has automated processing, which can probably result into some risk to the data subjects.
Okay, so dun lang required.
Or
registration.
Yes, whenever one of those three instances or criteria is present, required na ang registration with the National Privacy Commission.
Okay. So anyone.
Any one of those 3.
Okay. So that's the registration. Who should be a DPO?
Who should be a DPO? First requirement is that person should be an organic employee of the PIC or PIP, which means na talagang kailangan empleyado.
Okay.
Empleyado, or in some instances, I have registered as a DPO, the director of the particular PIC or PIP. Okay.
When you say PIC or PIP, ano yun?
PIC is Personal Information Controller. PIP is Personal Information Processor.
Okay. So, in terms of the company, it's a, ano ba yun?
Nalilito. Ang pagkakaiba lang, pareho naman silang nagko-collect ng personal data. Ang pagkakaiba is that the Personal Information Controller controls the processing. The processing. Meaning, it exercises decisions or makes decisions over what type of data to collect, to the purpose and the means of the processing. So, if it just outsources those things to another entity, that other entity is the Personal Information Processor.
Okay. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
So, ang tanong mo, sino ba ang pwedeng maging DPO?
DPO.
Well, aside from being an organic employee, well, this person should have influence over the organization. Kasi this person will be driving a culture of privacy in the organization. Kasi in an earlier video, we talked about what's the difference between processing of personal data or collection of personal data before the Data Privacy Act and after the Data Privacy Act. So I mentioned one of the things that is changing, and that's the consent requirement. Pero there are other means measures to protect personal data, and in that respect, medyo may konting change in business processes. So that DPO is an individual who should be able to influence the organization accordingly. So on a related note, that person's scope of authority should also be wide. So ideally, medyo senior person. Ngayon, I note that there are people who have been appointed as DPOs para lang may ma-register, may ma-appoint. So That's okay, but in such instance, I suggest that there be a more senior person who should be a privacy champion in the organization.
Okay.
Okay. And also, ang privacy awareness or the culture of privacy or protection of personal data requires budget. So that DPO should have access to funding.
Okay.
Ideally. And there will be some projects also. So dapat project management skills should be in place. That person should have no conflict of interest. Ito, isang very important criteria. So, if that person is the one which actually collects or processes the data or supervises or governs a department na nagko-collect ng personal data, baka hindi siya dapat ang DPO. Typically, in most organizations I've seen, the DPO is either the legal person or the information security person.
Okay.
Or compliance. Dun mostly naglalaro.
Okay.
But I've also seen DPOs who are part of HR or who are part of internal audit.
Okay, I see. What if there's no DPO in a company? What will happen?
If there's no DPO and the company already breaches the mandatory registration thresholds, then kapag may nangyaring breach, such as an unauthorized disclosure or malicious disclosure of data and other acts that are prescribed by the Data Privacy Act, walang defense ang entity na ito. Kasi having a DPO is actually the first pillar of compliance of the National Privacy Commission.
I see. So, most probably they will be found guilty. Parang ganon.
Most likely. Oo, wala silang defense.
I see.
Oo.
Will the DPO be held liable? Because as you describe it, I'm thinking, I don't want to be a DPO. In case there are breaches, will the DPO be liable?
If the DPO is found to not have performed his functions, then he will be found liable. But if may evidence naman to the effect that he has actually performed his functions, edi it will not be him
Okay, I
who
see.
will be held liable.
Okay. Kasi in an earlier video, we talk about the penalties, right, if
That's
you're not
right.
complying. So, what are the roles of DPO?
Well, firstly, may responsibility itong DPO to monitor compliance with the Data Privacy Act.
Okay.
So, from there, magfa-flow yung nag-a-advise siya dapat dun sa organization, different departments of the organization as to how to handle
process,
personal data. He should ensure the conduct of a privacy impact assessment. And that privacy impact assessment is related naman to the second pillar of the National Privacy Commission. So, in case of a breach, that individual, the DPO, should ensure that there's proper and timely notification to the National Privacy Commission and to the affected data subjects. Meron ding requirement for annual incident reporting of security incidents, so that DPO should also ensure that there's due reporting. And of course, that person should handle complaints by data subjects or any request of the data subjects so that they could exercise their rights as data subjects. For example, ano yung mga rights na yan? Right to modified personal information. So, dapat merong right to access. May isang data subject. Ikaw, gusto mong i-access yung data mo in a particular, na kinokollect ng isang loyalty card company. So, dapat you should be able to write to the DPO of that company, and that DPO should ensure that you can access your data. So, dapat may processes in place.
Okay, I see. And this DPO role, can it be subcontracted?
Yes, it can be outsourced. So, there are requirements, however, that in case of outsourcing, dapat merong contract of at least 2 years to the to the entity that will be performing the functions outside. But let me just emphasize that the accountability still remains with the DPO, who is an organic employee of the PIC or PIP.
Okay. So yung responsibility still lies with the
Yes.
ano.
Yes.
Okay.
The functions can be outsourced though.
Okay. Attorney, you've mentioned about the roles of the DPO, right? Advising the organization in terms of how to handle the privacy, the data of the customers or the subjects, and then also about monitoring compliance as well as doing privacy impact assessments. Now, mayroon pa bang iba ginagawa yung isang DPO?
Well, I think ito, pinaka-importante. The DPO is the primary point of contact of the organization with the National Privacy Commission.
Okay.
So, yan. Minsan merong mga Privacy Awareness Week or ngayon, the National Privacy Commission is actually encouraging the formation of industry policies or rules.
Ganda
So,
yung ganun.
that DPO should ideally be active in those endeavors.
Yes. And we also mentioned that the DPO should be registered, right?
Yes, right.
Where do they register?
The registration is made with the National Privacy Commission. So there are actually 2 phases of registration. There's a phase 1 registration. Ito, madali lang to. Kailangan lang may board resolution to such effect. Merong form yung National Privacy Commission that should be submitted. The SEC Articles of Incorporation, bylaws, GIS of that particular company should be submitted. And then there's also the phase 2 registration. Kapag natapos na yung phase 1 registration. So yung phase 2 registration naman deals more with the registration of the information systems of the company.
Okay. When you talk about, when you say information systems, ito yung ginagamit to process
Yes, the processing systems.
the information.
That's right.
Okay. Mukhang mabigat yung role ng isang DPO. Meron bang pwedeng tumulong sa kanya?
Well, merong tinatawag na compliance officer of privacy.
Okay.
So, pwedeng mag-appoint ng isang compliance officer for privacy and that appointment need not be in a board resolution kasi wala namang requirement yung National Privacy Commission to register the COP. Pwede ngang mag-appoint ng 1 COP per function eh. Halimbawa, marketing would have a COP. Depende kung if marketing is the department which collects a lot of and makes use of a lot of personal information. Finance should have a COP kasi may ginagawa din yung finance sa personal information, 'di ba? With the TINs and the SSS numbers of the employees' 201 files and so on and so forth.
Ayun. So, I think we've discussed a lot about the DPO, Data Protection Officer.
Yes, that's right.
In the next video, we'll talk about breach readiness naman of an organization. So, thank you so much, Attorney.
Thank you.
Yun, so if you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. And also, if you have any questions, just feel free to comment below. Again, this is Jerry Ilao, the founder of Olern, saying, if learning is not your priority, don't expect change. See you in the next video.